On a cold April morning in London, a Kenyan man who grew up on a dirt floor, in a house with no electricity, did something scientists spent an entire century calling impossible. He ran 26.2 miles in under 2 hours. His name is Sabastian Sawe, and to do it, he held a pace of about 13 miles an hour for 2 hours straight. No breaks, no slowing down. 13 miles an hour for 2 full hours. Keep that pace in mind, because at that very same moment in history, there was another man. A man who could move at almost 28 miles an hour. More than double Sawe's pace. The fastest human being who has ever lived. Usain Bolt. So, a question. And it is one that should be keeping you up at night. If Bolt was more than twice as fast as the greatest marathon runner on Earth, what would happen if we put him on that exact same start line in London? Would the fastest man alive smash the marathon world record? Or would the marathon destroy him? I'm Sebastian, physical therapist and performance analyst, and this is the Injury Breakdown. Today we run the most dangerous experiment in sports science. And the answer is going to break everything you think you know about the word fast. Because the very thing that made Usain Bolt a god over 100 meters is the same thing that would have buried him before mile 10. Stay with me, because by the end, I will give you my honest estimate of the exact time Bolt would run. And trust me, it is not the number you are expecting. To understand why, we have to go somewhere you cannot see. Deep inside your muscles. Your muscles are built from 2 basic kinds of fiber. Type 1, the slow twitch fibers. Think of them as a patient, fuel-efficient diesel engine. They contract slowly, they sip oxygen, and they can run for hours without quitting. And type 2, the fast twitch fibers. These are pure screaming horsepower. A Formula 1 engine. Explosive, violent, unbelievably powerful, and they burn out in seconds. And this is where it gets strange. An elite marathon runner like Sawe is carrying somewhere around 80% slow twitch fiber, 80% diesel, and an elite sprinter like Usain Bolt is the exact mirror image. A body loaded with fast twitch, explosive fiber. But you do not get to choose. That is the cruel part. This split is written mostly into your genes, long before you ever run a single step. There is even a gene the scientists nicknamed the speed gene. It is called ACTN3. One version of it shows up again and again in explosive sprinters. The other version keeps appearing in the greatest endurance runners on Earth. One tiny gene, quietly sorting the human race into sprinters and marathoners since before any of us could walk. So let me ask you this. If the wiring is that different, can a man really train his way from one engine into the other? Keep that question in your back pocket. The answer is not a pretty one. Usain Bolt did not just win the genetic lottery for speed. He won it so completely that the very same ticket disqualified him from everything else. But muscle is only the first problem. The second one, you can see with your own eyes. Picture the 2 men side by side on the start line. Sabastian Sawe stands about 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighs around 132 pounds. He is a blade. Lean, light, wiry. Every ounce of him built to move forward with almost no wasted energy. Now Usain Bolt steps up next to him. 6 feet 5 inches of towering chiseled muscle. 207 pounds of it. Do the math with me. That is a 75-pound difference. Over those 26 miles, Bolt would be dragging the weight of a small teenager strapped to his back. There is a brutal law of endurance here that nobody likes to hear. In distance running, the energy cost of moving your body is chained to your body weight. Every pound is a tax, and you pay it with every single stride, thousands of times, all the way to the finish. And then it gets worse. That gorgeous, powerful upper body, those cannonball shoulders, those pistoning arms that fire him down the sprint track like a bullet In a marathon, all of it becomes useless. Worse than useless, it is dead weight. 200 pounds of luggage his heart and lungs have to haul for over 2 hours. And all that muscle does one more thing when you work it for hours. It makes heat. Furnace-level heat. The bigger the engine, the more it cooks the body from the inside. Which leaves us with the question that changes everything. If Bolt's own body is fighting a war against its own weight and its own heat before he even reaches halfway, what could he possibly have left for the second half? He has nothing left. And to see why, you need to meet the one engine Usain Bolt was never given. It is called your aerobic engine. Your heart, your lungs, and the network of tiny blood vessels that feed oxygen into your muscles. Scientists measure the size of it with something they call VO2 max. Put simply, the most oxygen your body can pull in and actually use. Marathoners like Sawe spend their whole lives, high up in the mountains, building this engine into a monster. Huge, efficient hearts. Muscles wired with extra blood vessels. Bodies that turn oxygen into steady, endless energy. Bolt's body was never built for that. Every fiber of him is tuned for one savage, glorious burst. And that leads us straight to the ghost that haunts every marathon runner alive. They call it the wall. It works like this. Your body stores its best fuel, a carbohydrate called glycogen, inside your muscles. But the tank is tiny. For most runners, it runs dry around mile 20. And when it hits empty, it feels like a trapdoor opening under your feet. Your legs turn to concrete. Your pace collapses. And this is the detail that quietly dooms our experiment. A body carrying 200 pounds of muscle, running inefficiently, burns through that fuel far faster than a lean marathoner ever could. So be honest with yourself. If Sawe, a man built to save every single drop of fuel, can barely make it last the distance, how many miles do you honestly think Bolt's tank would survive? We are about to find out. But if this is your idea of a good time, take 1 second and subscribe before we start, because breaking down impossible questions like this one is the only thing this channel does. Now let's run it. The gun goes off in London. And now there are 2 possible versions of Usain Bolt. Version 1. Bolt runs it like Bolt. He goes out fast, powered by all that explosive fiber, and for a few glorious minutes, it is the most electrifying thing anyone has ever seen at a marathon. But his body is flooding with acid faster than he can ever clear it. His muscles seize. His stride falls apart. And somewhere in the first few miles, the fastest man in history grinds to a walk, and then to a stop. He does not finish. Version 2. Bolt is smart. He holds back. He tries to just survive it, at a gentle jog. And watch what happens. It barely helps. The weight is still there. The heat is still there. The tiny fuel tank is still there. He fights his own body with every step. And then, right around mile 20, the trapdoor opens and the wall swallows him whole. So, the number. The one I promised you at the very start. Being brutally honest, a peak, super fit Usain Bolt, with no real marathon training, just trying to finish, is most likely looking at somewhere between 3.5 and 4.5 hours. If he finishes at all. And many days, in that heat, carrying that frame, he simply would not. Let that land. Sabastian Sawe ran it in under 2 hours. The fastest man who ever lived might not even break 4. Bolt would still be out on those London streets, hours after Sawe had showered, eaten, and gone home. But before you feel sorry for Bolt, you need to understand something. This street runs both ways, and one man in history proves it. His name was Emil Zatopek, 1952, the Helsinki Olympics. Zatopek, a Czech runner with a face so twisted in pain that reporters said he looked like a man being stabbed in the heart, did something no human has done before or since. He won gold in the 5,000 meters, then gold in the 10,000 meters. And then, almost on a whim, he entered the marathon, a race he had never run in his entire life, and won that too. 3 golds, 3 distances, 1 Olympics, and the marathon was his very first attempt. Zatopek was all diesel, all endurance, all suffering, all heart. So flip the question around. What do you think would happen if we put Emil Zatopek or Sabastian Sawe on the start line of an Olympic 100-meter final against Usain Bolt? They would be destroyed. Utterly. Bolt would be celebrating before they even crossed the line. The great marathoner is just as helpless in the sprinter's world as the sprinter is in his. And that is the real lesson hidden under this whole experiment. There is no such thing as the perfect athlete. There is no human being who is good at everything. The very traits that make Usain Bolt a once-in-a-century god of speed are the exact same traits that would leave him broken on a marathon course. Greatness, at the very highest level, is not about being complete. It is about being magnificently, gloriously incomplete. Bolt is not bad at the marathon. He is simply the most perfect version of something else. And there is a beautiful irony to end on. The word marathon comes from an ancient Greek legend. A messenger who supposedly ran himself to death carrying news of a battle. A story about a body pushed past every limit it had. Almost 2,500 years later, we finally found a man who ran that distance faster than anyone ever thought possible. And it was not the fastest man on earth. It was a quiet Kenyan kid raised by his grandmother, with no electricity and the perfect engine. I'm Sebastian, and this is the Injury Breakdown, and I am not finished with you yet. Because Bolt was built the wrong way for this race. So what happens when we take an athlete whose engine might be the most powerful ever measured and drop him on that same start line? Tadej Pogačar, 5-time Tour de France champion, 12 monument victories, an estimated VO2 max of 96, one of the highest numbers ever recorded in a living human being. We calculated exactly what he would run in a marathon. 3 predictions, backed by the data, and every single one of them is uncomfortable. That video is on your screen right now. Do not overthink it. Just click it.